I gained over 29,000 YouTube subscribers in my first year, and this is what I learned. YouTube is hard, and it probably would have been a lot easier if I had known the things that I'm about to share with you when I first started. I spent well over 5 years just wanting to start a YouTube channel, and I took every single course from all of the gurus that you can think of to learn how it works before I got started. And I wish somebody had just told me to press record and figure it out as I go along. And so that's what I'm trying to tell you right now, and I'm hoping that everything that I break down in this video will answer some of the questions that you have and that I had when I was getting started. And I want to start with something simple that will save you time and energy and possibly money. At the very least, it's going to give you one less thing to stress about and 20 more minutes that you can put into content research or just enjoying life. And that's that tags don't matter on YouTube. And that's not just me saying that. YouTube has actually said that tags can be useful if the content of your video is commonly misspelled. Otherwise, tags play a minimal role in your video's discovery. At this point, I'm convinced the only people that are saying that tags are important are the companies that are promoting software that you pay to help you grow, to do keyword research, and to automatically populate those tags for you, or the creators that are being paid as affiliates or sponsored creators in order to promote that same software. The algorithm has just grown and evolved so much, and if it can understand what is being said in your videos well enough to translate it to other languages so people in other countries can watch your videos, then it can understand what you're talking about well enough to figure out how to rank your video in search. If you're the kind of person that wants to do tags because you think that every little bit helps, go for it. I don't think it's going to hurt you at all. I just personally believe that tags are unnecessary, and I would rather put that time and energy into more impactful things like coming up with better video ideas. And just like the algorithm doesn't need tags to figure out what your video is about, stuffing your description full of keywords isn't going to help you rank in search or get more views either. One of the things that I've started to notice over the course of this year is that the bigger creators and even creators that have started new accounts in totally different niches have almost completely abandoned descriptions. They're maybe putting a line about what the video is about, or they might just put links to the stuff that they're selling or their email list. And if I think about my own viewing behavior as somebody who spends more time watching YouTube than TV or any other social media platform, I only ever look at somebody's description if I've decided that I want to learn more from them. I want to download their freebie. I want to join their email list. I want to see what products or services they have available. So I'm firmly of the belief that your descriptions are just the top of your marketing funnel. You don't need to spend a lot of time writing stuff in there to make your video perform better. You just use it to get people further into your system. That way you can grow your business. Your description is really a place for people to find out more about you or your business and how you can help them. And the most important action that they can take after watching your video and clicking on your description is to click a link to join your email list or to find out about your products and potentially buy them. So stop thinking of your description as a tool that you are using to get better performance on your videos and start thinking of it more like your Instagram or TikTok profile. When somebody discovers you for the first time after watching one of your short form videos, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to click on your profile to see if you're somebody that they want to follow. And when they get there, they're going to see your picture, they're going to see a bio that talks about like who you are and what you do, and they're going to watch some other videos that you have. And on YouTube, people are usually going to look at that description before they click over to your profile. So use that real estate to share who you are and stop worrying about SEO so much. I think this is probably the biggest thing that I've noticed growing this channel is that when I start to rank in search, it's not because I had the right keywords in my title or the long tail keywords or anything like that. My views have primarily come from browse traffic being shown on the homepage, and then I've just had such high click-through rates and such high watch time from people liking the videos that it has caused them to rank in search. So where I feel like in the past it was always about you have to find the opportunity and you rank, and then you start to get the views, and then you get this authority, and then you're able to go after bigger, more competitive keywords, which is how SEO traditionally works. Now it's more about just create the really great video. And as the video does well and you get discovered, then you will get pushed up accordingly because you have the best video. And like I said earlier, the algorithm will actually know where to rank the video, what keywords to use, because it's cataloging everything you say. And the good news is that YouTube seems to be in almost this like easy mode right now because because they're giving small YouTubers a shot. Next time you go on YouTube, look at your homepage and look at all the videos, and you're gonna see some of your favorite creators, or you're gonna see big creators that are related to things that you watch. And then you're gonna see these random videos, these creators you've never heard of that might have like 30 views on their video. And that's because YouTube is trying to give these creators a chance and trying to see if you will click on their video. And if you do and you watch it, enough other people do that, then that new creator is going to get rewarded and it's going to kickstart their channel. And I think that's exactly what happened to me. But this didn't used to be the case. And so what's happened is that now you just need to find the best video possible, and you have to figure out how to stand out on the homepage and stand out in suggested. That way, if people don't know who you are, they will actually click on your video and watch it, because YouTube is giving you a shot, but you have to do the right things to take advantage of your at-bat. So what you should be focusing on today is taking all of these great ideas that you have and figuring out, how do I make that video more clickable? And I truly believe, like, you don't even have to go and come up with new ideas for your channel right now. If you already have videos that didn't do as well as you wanted, then you can take the things that I'm about to share with you and you can just remake those videos, make a new version of it using these things. And it all starts with the thumbnail. When we're scrolling, we see the thumbnail, we see that picture before we go and look at that title. And so what we want to do is have, when somebody's on their phone and they're scrolling, we want them to get excited about our video. We want our video to get them to stop scrolling. And when you're on the computer or somebody's watching from desktop, you want your thumbnail to stand out from everything else that's vying for their attention. And if you look at the big creators, if you look at like Mr. Beast or any of these gurus, they're going to tell you that you should focus on coming up with your title and your thumbnail before you ever record your video. And I actually think that that's good advice, because I've found that my videos where I had a plan, I had the idea, and I came up with the title and thumbnail before I recorded so that it was all congruent, I felt like those were my best videos. The ones that performed the best got the most views, versus the ones where I'm like, this is a great idea, I got excited, I outlined it, I recorded it, and then I tried to come up with the title and thumbnail to fit that later. I ended up having to pass on or not use better thumbnail ideas because they didn't quite fit. So let's talk about like how to make a good thumbnail. I've found that it really comes down to a balance between figuring out what is working and then standing out from all of the other videos. Like if you go and do an incognito search on YouTube of the topic of your video and you see the top videos that are ranking for that term, you're usually going to notice that they're very similar, that there is a trend to those thumbnails because something worked for somebody and then everybody started emulating it. And so that tells you that it works and it's probably a good thumbnail. And if you can create a better version of it or your version of it, that it's probably going to do well. But on the flip side, maybe you want to make yours stand out from those. That way, when somebody goes in search and they see something different, it jumps out at them and they click on that one. But the most important part is still that it stands out and that people want to click it, because most of your traffic is going to come from browse. It's going to come from people being served your video on the homepage. That's the most important thing. And so I'm going to be looking for thumbnails that have worked really well, and I'm going to make my version of it. So what I'm personally going to do is I'm going to look for great thumbnails in other related niches. So if I'm making a video about how to grow on TikTok, I'm going to go find a video that has hundreds of thousands of views that's about how to grow on YouTube. And then I'm going to remake that thumbnail, but with the appropriate logo. And that usually works pretty well because it's a proven idea. We already know that it's going to work and that's going to have a high click-through rate because the video has hundreds of thousands of views. But sometimes there aren't good options. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to create a thumbnail that's going to have some combination of text and image. I'm usually going to put my face on it, and I want it to tell the whole story of the video. I want somebody to be able to see my thumbnail and know exactly what it's about before reading the title or clicking on it. So here's an example from one of my videos. This one was about being stuck at 200 views on TikTok, which is kind of like the #1 problem that everybody has when they first start. And so everybody that has that problem, they are going to experience seeing this particular graph where they very quickly get 200 views and then it drops off and they get no more. It like just suddenly stops. So I wanted to create a thumbnail that had a phone with that graph of 200 200 views and ask the question that is in everybody's head of like, why is this happening to me? And even my face in the thumbnail is meant to convey like how people feel of just like, oh my gosh, why? And so even if I didn't have a title, like that video would have done very well just because of the thumbnail. And I'm going to share in a little bit about how your titles can really push your videos over the edge. But for now, just focus on making those great thumbnails. And luckily, YouTube has this awesome new feature that allows you to split test thumbnails. So you can actually create 2 or 3 variations and upload all of them with your video. And YouTube is going to rotate through those thumbnails to figure out which one gets you the most click-through rate, or more importantly, the most watch time. And over time, as YouTube gathers all of the data that it finds to be most important in its algorithm, it's going to say, hey, guess what? Of those 3 thumbnails, this is the one. This is the one that you should be using. Now, that might feel like a lot of work to create that many thumbnails for every video, but there's some really talented freelancers on Fiverr.com that you can get to create really affordable thumbnails for you. And a little bit later, I'm going to answer a question that was like a big one for me of like, when should I change my title and thumbnail to try to improve a video and have it perform better after that initial burst of views? And I'll get to that, but first let's talk about the titles, because your title should complement your thumbnail. In the video that I mentioned earlier, like this is one of my favorite titles and thumbnails that I've done because that thumbnail does stand on its own and it shows the emotion and the thoughts that people are having and like when they get stuck in that 200 views. But the question that prompted that video was all of the people in my comments on YouTube that were saying, hey Mike, why am I stuck at 200 views? I'm stuck in 200 view jail. How do I get out of 200 view jail? Everybody was saying that. And so the title simply became stuck at 200 views ? And so really what it was doing is it was calling out the people. If you read that title, you went, yeah, I'm stuck at 200 views. And now you knew that video was about you and that you should watch it. And that is how your title should complement your thumbnail, how they should work together to make a person realize I have to watch this video. And I would really encourage you, as you are scrolling on YouTube or you're on your computer and you're looking at stuff, what are you clicking on? Like, which videos are you saving to watch later? If you have a big watch later, go back, scroll through those videos, look at the titles and thumbnails, and try to figure out like what compelled me to click and save that video. If you do that, you can develop templates for ideas for your future content. And to give you another example of how titles and thumbnails can work together, you can see this other video that I did, and the thumbnail is that same 200 views and then it flatlines and there's a big question mark and arrow that says shadow banned. Because a lot of times when people see that 200 view curve, they think they're shadow banned. They think that the algorithm has decided it doesn't like them, has put them in this jail, and that is why they can't get views. So the thumbnail gets people's attention. And then that title, why TikTok suddenly stopped getting views, that kind of question statement, that creates curiosity. People want to know now. They want to know if they're shadow banned. They want to know why this keeps happening to them and why this always happens on TikTok, that the views come fast and furious and then they stop. So the two work together, the thumbnail in this case, creating that emotion and answering the question that is in people's heads. And then the title saying, hey, we have the answer. We're going to tell you why. But the most important thing with these titles is that you don't have to stuff them with keywords anymore. Every TikTok course I have ever taken has started with saying you need to do your keyword research and then you need to put all of those things in the titles, descriptions, tags, all of that kind of stuff. But you don't need to do that. You need to get people to click. And if you go back and look at like all of my old original videos, you'll see that I did this. I was stuffing those keywords in the title. And it wasn't until my brilliant editor who's doing this video said, hey, you gotta stop doing that. You gotta try doing these types of titles that I finally saw the light and it changed everything. So shout out to Hudson. Now, if this is as far as you get in the video and you're just applying what I've already taught you and you're doing better titles and thumbnails, like your videos and your views are going to get way better and you're going to grow. But the things that I'm about to share with you are the ones that like really took it to the next level. And the first one being that like you have to have better ideas. Like if you need more clickable titles and thumbnails, you need a more clickable idea that more people are going to be interested in watching. And so it all comes down to two things that you need to do, and they both deal with originality. And the first one is that you need to just stop trying to reinvent the wheel until you understand how the wheel works and you can actually make a better version of the wheel. And what I really mean by that is like, stop just making up random ideas. Do some content research and find outliers. Find videos that have way more views than that person has subscribers, because if that worked for them, it's probably going to work for you too. And you need to get comfortable with stealing ideas, stealing thumbnails, and making them your own. That's why this book, Steal Like an Artist, is one of my favorite books for creators and business owners to watch, because it explains this whole concept about like how nobody has original ideas and we're all just taking bits and pieces from other people to make our own new, thing that's just a mess of other people's things. So stop trying to create the next viral video or the next big idea, and instead take a proven idea and make your version of it. And it's going to be new. It's not going to be stolen. As long as you don't plagiarize it, as long as you don't steal it word for word, it's going to be unique, because you are a different person and you have different ideas and perspectives and opinions and a different personality, different mannerisms in the way that you talked. And that's why I said there's like two parts to this that deal with originality. The first one is like, you don't have to have original ideas. You can steal ideas that are already proven to do well, and you should, but then make those ideas original by letting you be who you are on camera and sharing your ideas and taking a stand and making it unique in that way. I mean, I'm doing it in this video. If you look at the thumbnail from this video, I borrowed it from James Smith in this thumbnail that he had, and his was about Instagram, so I'm making mine about YouTube, kind of like I described earlier. But I'm also going to swipe an amazing example he uses to explain this in some of his content, which is that if you think about like Batman or Spider-Man, like there are more movies about those comic book characters than like anything else, because they keep redoing them over and over and over. But it's okay, because each one of those videos, although they have the same characters, the same villains, they're a different story. They're different actors and a different director telling it in a different way. And so you can enjoy this rehash of another thing. And really, when it comes to building your audience and building your personal brand, it's not that you're teaching or sharing a bunch of new information that nobody has. It's just that you're teaching it in a way that enough people in your corner of the internet are going to be like, I like that person. I like how he describes it more than how he or she describes it. So I'm going to follow this person. I'm in Team Mike. So let who you are be what makes your content original, not necessarily the ideas for the video or the thumbnail or the title, etc. And I just talked about how, like, as your personality goes out there, that different people on the internet, they're going to be attracted to your personality. They're going to be like you. They're going to like how you do things. You're going to start building this community. And I firmly believe that building that kind of community is one of the ways that allowed me to blow up as fast as I did on YouTube. And the way that I really cultivated that community, besides through my content, was by responding to every single comment. Now, these days, it is a lot harder to keep up with, but I still do. I spend so much time every day responding to your comments. If you ever have a question, just drop it in the comments and I will do my best to answer it for you. But I know, especially early on, I responded to every single comment. I did not miss a single one. And what happens when you do that, when you respond to people's comments, not only do you build a lifelong fan, because most people aren't doing that. And so by you actually acknowledging them, helping them out personally, like they're like, hey, you are the freaking man, I'm going to watch all of your videos. And that's important on YouTube, compared even more so than TikTok or Instagram or any other things, because when you post on YouTube, your content, the algorithm shows it to your followers first. And so if you just have these kind of like people that don't remember who you are, they might skip past your video. But if you built a fan because you helped them personally by responding to their comment, when they see your face on that thumbnail, they're going to click on that video and they're going to watch that video because they want to give back. They want to help you out too. So early on, respond to all the comments. Start building your community. And the more that you respond to people's comments on your videos, the more it's going to encourage other people to engage, because they're going to say, oh, hey, this person actually responds. And so if I leave a comment, if I ask a question, they might respond to me too. It's going to be worth it to them to post that comment when they might not have otherwise. And those comments and those engagement like that, you better believe that that has an impact on how many views you get and how often your video is shown to people. Another big thing that I did that I think had a massive impact on my channel was that when I started taking YouTube seriously, I posted a video every single week, no matter what. I did not miss. Even if it was not the best video that I could possibly put out there, I published it. And I was so consistent that I think that that had a massive impact on how well my channel did. And a big part of the reason that I feel that way is because I actually hired a YouTube coach because I wanted to level up and I wanted to get some of my questions answered. And I'm not going to, say who it is or anything like that. But that coach, I feel like, gave me some bad advice and told me that it was okay if I missed a week, if I didn't post occasionally. And it almost like gave me permission to say, okay, I'm not going to, this one's not ready. I'm just going to wait. And when that became part of my behavior as a creator on YouTube, I actually saw a noticeable dip in my views after that, and I regret it. I wish that I would have just kept grinding and kept just putting out content. Even if it wasn't my best video, at least I put something out. At least I showed something, I showed the algorithm, hey, I'm gonna be here. And if I post a video this week and a bunch of people like it, and so next week you decide you're gonna show my video to those people, I'm actually going to show up and have a video for them next week instead of letting you down, algorithm, because I didn't post. And I firmly believe that that's a big part of it. So you want to keep showing up. Even if the views aren't there yet, you want to keep showing up because when you do, the algorithm's going to say, hey, this is a reliable creator. If I reward them by showing their next video, I know that video is going to be there. I know they're going to show up and post on the same day every week because that's what they've been doing. That's what their behavior has shown me. And I forgot to say this, but you should be posting weekly. That should be the minimum. One video a week, not every other week, not once a month. If you can't commit to doing this once a week, then you're probably not ready to do it yet. That should be the floor. Now, before I move on, I want to share one thing with you that has been really helpful to me. And that's that once you've posted 20, 30 videos, I want you to go back and I want you to find your top 5 videos, just sort them by popular videos and look at the click-through rate of those videos. All right. Now take the average of that. Say that the average is 7%. Start using that as your benchmark. Every time you post a video, if you are not getting that 7% on your video, then change out your thumbnail, change your title, start tweaking that even as early as the first day, because you'll see those stats. If they're not doing well, make changes. That way the impressions that you're being given, that they're as good as your best stuff, and that's going to help you get more views. So just a simple thing that you can do there. Don't worry about it at first. At first, just show up and post as often as possible. Chain together one video a week for 6 months, a year, whatever you can do. But then once you're in a rhythm and you're consistent, that's a little thing that you can do to go help your individual videos. But the most important thing by far when it comes to growing on YouTube is that once you have started, don't quit. No matter what, no matter how few views you've gotten, show up, post every week. Just commit to doing this for a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever. When I sat down and I said, hey, I'm going to do this, I was I'm going to do this for the next 5 years. So I wasn't worried about the views. I was just worried about showing up. And I think that had a big impact on my ability to have the success that I've had. And unfortunately, I think most creators and most business owners, they end up quitting just before everything takes off for them. And I almost made this mistake in my life. It took a big horrible thing happening to get me to not quit. When I started my business when I was in law school, and I became a lawyer and I was still running my business, and I was gonna close it down and focus on my career. And my oldest son, right after he was born, he got sick and we couldn't put him in daycare. And so I had to stay home with him. And I decided, I'm gonna double down on my business instead of closing it down. I was about to quit, and then everything blew up and it completely changed our lives in the best possible way. And that's what happens for so many people. And you've probably seen, there's this picture of this guy, and he's digging and he gives up with his shovel. He's underground and he gives up and he starts walking the other way. There's this massive diamond right where he's his next scoop of dirt was going to put him there. And that's what happens for most people. So do not give up, do not quit. And if you have quit or you just haven't been posting consistently, start again. This channel, I started posting and then I went 9 months without posting. I actually had 64 opportunities from the day I started my channel until I committed on, I remember, July 25th of 2023 is when I posted that first video. That's when I consider that I really started my channel. Prior to that, I had 64 different weeks, 64 opportunities to post a video, and I didn't do it. But once I committed and I did it every single week, then from there, I ended up, like I said, making almost 30,000, getting almost 30,000 subscribers in that year. Made, I don't know, $15,000 or something like that in ad revenue. And that's not even counting all the business that those views brought into my business. So No excuses, like jump back in. Don't let the fact that maybe you've already quit or that you haven't been consistent make you feel like this is not possible for you. You can commit and take it serious and start for real like I did, and everything can completely change. And since being consistent and not quitting is so important, I want to share what I've learned about how to stick to it even when you don't want to, because if I'm being perfectly honest, I didn't want to record this video today. I put it off for a couple of days. I've been in a funk, didn't want to do it, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to go do a workout and then come back and record right away just to like get some music going and like change my perspective on how to do it. Like that was what it took today. You just got to figure out whatever it takes, but here's some things that can help. Number one, use the tools that you have. You don't need all of the fancy gear at all. You have a phone in your pocket that has an amazing camera. I am recording right now on my iPhone. That is all you need. The quality of your video idea and what you're talking about and whether it helps the person on the other side is more important than like whether it is a fancy high HD, what I don't even know that stuff. Like that doesn't matter as much. I have this awesome new camera. I can't wait to start using this in this content and leveling it up and making my content look better. But I know that what I'm saying to you is more important than that. So if you can't afford the camera, like you don't need it. And honestly, I wouldn't, even if you can't afford it, don't spend the money. Prove to yourself that you can show up consistently just using your phone first. If you're going to invest in anything, invest in a mic. And like I have this one on my phone, but I have the same one here, right? Like this little Rode mic works perfectly because the quality of your audio is more important than the quality of like your video, the visual. And then just make sure you have good lighting. I have a big window here, got a big window here, so I have plenty of good light on my face. But if I don't get this video done soon, then I have a big light that I'm gonna turn on to put that video on my face. Just put it at like a 45-degree angle, so that way you kind of have, you know, that little bit of shadow on your face. Like those are the basics. Do those things and like it's good enough. The next thing is you have to get better at scripting your videos. And I don't mean you have to do all the fancy storytelling techniques and all of the stuff that people talk about. I just mean you need to figure out like, how do you make videos best? Do you need to script them word for word, or do you need a loose outline with some bullets and then you just talk? This is going to vary from person to person, and it might vary for you over time. So I've done both. I have scripted word for word and I have just done it off the cuff. What I realized very early on is that I felt robotic when I was recording off of a script. I felt like Ron Burgundy on a teleprompter. Like it was just ridiculous. There was no personality. And I didn't like that because I knew from like coaching, like I did so well live coaching, talking off the cuff, just sharing my knowledge with my students. And so I wanted to figure out how do I bring that energy. And so what I eventually figured out was that I did better with bullets, and I was just like, this is what I want to cover. And then I just shot from the hip and I did the thing. And I go back and forth between the two depending on the video sometimes. Like sometimes I feel like it calls for more of a script, or maybe it's just, you know, like I felt like for a while, like this one was very much bullets because I felt like I was spending so much time writing my scripts and I didn't really have the time. So it's like, I need to cut it back. I need to get to like, these are the things I'm going to talk about, and then I'm just going to go. But if you are going to write a script, there's a couple of things that you can do to make it feel more natural. The first one is that you should write the way that you talk. I say y'all, I say some weird stuff, and so I try to type that way. Oftentimes I'm saying the words out loud as I'm typing the script. And then when I'm actually recording it, I am reading it line by line, but I'm not like reading it as I say it. I'm looking over at my screen, I'm reading at what my next line is, and then I'm just kind of memorizing it, and then I say it to the camera, and then I pause the camera. There's this little button here. And so like I just clicked that, it paused it, so I could gather my thoughts, I could look, read what the next thing was, and then I could come back and I could say it again. And then you can use software or edit it, or you have an editor that can go through and can chop all of those pieces out. So it just looks like you're talking naturally, but it's really you one line at a time. Another simple thing that you can do with your scripts is if you have a bunch of points that you want to make. So like here, I'm sharing like all the things that I've learned that I think you need to know. What I'm going to do to transition is I'm going to open a new loop. I'm going to create a new problem. So like here, I just talked to you about whether you should script your videos and read them line by line, or you should do bullets. And what now you're going to be able to take that information and decide for yourself. And I'm going to say, But even if you do it more off the cuff like I do, it's really important that you script your intros. So now I just transitioned to the next part of my video, but I did it in a way that made you curious, that made you want to keep watching, because you're going like, okay, if you just do this off the cuff, why are you scripting your intros? Like, I need to know why. Do I need to do that? And so you want to create that kind of curiosity to move people from point to point, so that way they'll keep watching and you can increase your watch time, because that is what's going to allow you to get more views and to really get pushed by the algorithm. Now, I just talked you through like an example of the transition, but that really is my next point. You do need to script your intros. And the reason for that is because the first 30 seconds of your video is really the most important thing. It's just like if you're doing an Instagram reel or a TikTok, like the first 3 seconds, first 5 seconds, like using that hook, getting people's attention, it's so important. And so what you need to make sure on YouTube is that if you win somebody over with your title and thumbnail, when they click that video, you need to let them know that like, hey, they're in the right place and this video is what they thought it was about, and then create that curiosity that gets them to keep watching. And so I think the first 30 seconds of my video is the most important part of my video by far, and we put all of our effort in there. So even if the whole video is just a bunch of bullet points, I'm going to write out a paragraph or 2 or 3 that I'm going to read verbatim with as much personality as possible at the beginning of the video to ensure that I'm hooking people and getting them to watch as long as possible. But that's not the only thing that I'm gonna do at the start of the videos. And once again, this is an example of now I'm creating that curiosity, I'm creating that open loop, because you're going, okay, what else do I need to do? Because the start of those videos is so important, we are actually going to do more editing in the first 30 seconds to a minute of the video than anywhere else throughout the video. And by we, I mean Hudson's gonna do it, because I don't have a clue. If you go to any of my videos on the channel, you're gonna notice that we do a lot of B-roll and transitions and movement and just visual representations that go along with the things that I'm saying. All I'm trying to do is make sure all my fellow goldfish brains are getting their ADHD fix and that they're stuck on my video and they're not getting bored only looking at my face. So you don't have to do the crazy retention editing for the entire 8 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever of your video. Like, make sure that you edit the crap out of that first minute. Once my intro is all taken care of, the next most important thing to me is something I call channel programming. And I wish I knew like who shared this with me. I don't even know if maybe I came up with it. I don't know, but I really focus on something called channel programming. And I feel like this has had a massive impact. Like when we talk about the things like, you know, focusing on the big ideas and titles and thumbnails, and we talk about like responding to all the comments, like another big one is this idea of channel programming, which is like, think of your channel like a TV station, right? That has different shows. And while you're watching one show, they're promoting another show. And so what I always want to do is I want to be thinking about, where do I want people to go next? Like, how do I want to keep them on my channel? Like, what should they watch after they watch this video? And so after I get that intro taken care of, I'm going to think about the end of my video. What's the next question that they have? Like, what do they need help with after watching this video? That way I can point them to that one. So you'll notice in my videos, I don't say, hey, I want you to, if you like this video, like my channel, hit that little bell thing, you know, to get notified, and, you know, subscribe. Like, I don't do that. Like, if you want to subscribe to my channel, you're going to subscribe to my channel. But what I do is I tell you what video to watch next. And if you get to the end of this video, you're going to see I do this really smooth transition. I kind of end it abruptly, and then I point you to the next video, because that's the next step. And I want you to binge my stuff, because when you binge my stuff, it signals to YouTube that like, this creator is somebody that keeps people on the platform. They do a really good job of that. Somebody watches one of their videos, they watch a dozen of their videos. And so let's show more of their videos. And so I want to create that behavior. That way I will get promoted. And so you're going to see an example of this in a second. But first, there are 2 more things that I need to share with you before we get to the end of this video. The first one is that getting monetized on YouTube is just the start of the journey. And there's actually a right way and a wrong way to do your ad placements, and it can have a significant impact on how much money you make. I did what I think most people do, and I just did the automatic ad placement when I first started, and it was fine. I was making money. I was actually so pumped about how much money I was making every day from my videos that it wasn't that big of a deal. But then I had a conversation with a friend of mine that has 1 million subscribers on his channel, and I was like, what can I be doing? Like, how should I do my ad placements to like get the most money possible? And then he showed me, and the next day my ad revenue doubled. And you can see from the screenshot right here, it literally doubled overnight, and it has stayed that way ever since. So here's what you want to do. You want to go in and edit your video and click on monetization monetization, and then you're going to click this button that says review placements. Now, don't put an ad placement for like the first 45 seconds to a minute in your video, because right now we're just trying to get retention. We're trying to keep their attention and keep them watching the video. And the last thing you want is a, ad break 20 seconds into your video and the people are like, whatever, and they just leave. So wait about a minute or so and then put an ad break every 45 seconds to a minute when there's a natural break in your video, and do that the entire way through your video. The only place you're not going to do this is at the end of your video. I usually do not put an ad break in like the last 2 minutes of my video, because at that point, I just want as many people as possible to make it to the end. But by putting a ton of ad breaks in your video every 45 seconds or so, you are maximizing the potential earnings for that video. Just because you have all of these placements does not mean that you're going to have 50 ads shown in your video. The algorithm is still going to decide when to show an ad, when it thinks is the best time to show it to that person. But by having this many options, you are going to have more ads shown during your video. So now, instead of only having 1 or 2, maybe you have 2, 3, or even 4, and you've increased the earnings on your video. And luckily, the culture on YouTube is like, people don't care about the videos. They either just wait them out or they skip them or whatever, and they don't think about it. And so you want to have them in there. You want to be able to earn more. But if you use the auto feature and only have 1 or 2 placements, you're probably just going to have the one video. But when you have all of these and now it gets shown that 2, 3 times, you are going to double the amount that you're making from your videos. The other thing related to monetization is that you need to start the process before you're eligible to get monetized. And in particular, you need to set up your Google AdSense account and connect it to your YouTube. Because what happens for most creators is that they wait until they reach that 4,000 watch hours and that 1,000 subscribers, and then they're still not able to get paid for like a month, because the process to get verified for Google AdSense takes 2 to 3 weeks, because they have to send you this paper. So you have to fill it out. They're going to send you this paper in the mail. They flat out tell you it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks. In my experience, it took almost 4 weeks, and you have to get it because they're going to give you this little PIN number, and you have to put it in to verify before you can start getting paid. So make sure you apply early, and then watch this video next, because I share everything that I learned going through that process and getting paid a month late because I screwed up. So you'll know exactly what it takes to get monetized on YouTube the right way, so you can get paid as quickly as possible.